For the month of July of 2025, I'm rebroadcasting some of my favorite episodes from season 1 in 2023. And today's episode is truly one of my faves, y'all, because we've all been there. Those moments on our parenting journey where for some of us it's daily or even hourly, but we react to our kids in anger. And then we're like, why am I so angry? Why don't I have more patience? And it just leads us to shame and frustration. But my guest today in episode number 111 is going to help us move beyond our mom anger to a place of curiosity and improved emotional health. And everything she offers us today is so practical. Listen in. Hey friend, do you desire to connect with God in real and tangible ways? Do you struggle with the reality that life just hasn't gone the way you imagined it would? Well, you have come to the right place, and you're not alone. I'm Shelly Sneed, the host of Unperfect, and it's my weekly mission to inspire women like you and me to grow spiritually through authentic stories rooted in the truth of God's Word. Hope and probably some humor are coming up. So today I have the privilege of talking with Elizabeth, who is a stress coach for Christian moms. She's the host of Emotionally Healthy Legacy podcast and a mom of 4. And she's super passionate about mental health and emotional wellness in motherhood. She supports stressed Christian moms in overcoming anger and embracing emotional stability, empowering them to leave an emotionally healthy legacy for their kids' lives. I love that. So Elizabeth, welcome to the Unperfect podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
So before we dive into this topic about anger and motherhood, which we all need in our lives, before we dive into that, is there anything else you want to tell us maybe about yourself or your family or your ministry?
Yeah, so my husband and I have been married for almost 15 years. We live in Florida right now, North Florida. We moved here a year and a half ago from Minnesota. So I'm from the up north. I know what it's like right now. As we are recording, it's January here. It's like cold up there. I'm like, right now it's 75 here. So it's nice. We have 4 kiddos. I have 3 boys that are 12, 9, 6, and then a 2-year-old girl who is a little fireball that has so much energy, and she just goes with the flow with her brothers, and it's fun. We have a little dog named Fluffy who is a little Pomeranian. So our house is full of a lot of energy, especially when my kids come from school.
I bet. And the dog probably is through the roof excited to have them all home when they walk in the door.
Yes, for sure.
And I can relate to having the fireball daughter at the end of all the boys. It's really special, and it's not what you thought it was going to be because she wants to be where all the boys are and do what they're doing. At least that's how it was for us.
Oh, yeah.
So let's jump into this hot topic, as they say, because I honestly don't feel like I struggled with anger until I got married and had kids. It was like that was the recipe for it all boiling over. So what can you tell us? What contributes to moms feeling so easily angered?
Yeah, and I like what you said, that I didn't have anger issues until I had kids, and I felt the same. I totally felt the same. I thought I was a pretty patient person, and then I had kids, and then I quickly realized I didn't have as much patience as I thought I would. And so what I realized as I was learning more about myself and just reflecting and talking to other moms is that anger is a secondary emotion. And there's something underneath that is contributing to that anger. It could be our emotional state, our mental state, just our mentality, what we think about the circumstance, or just unmet needs. And some of those things are literally basic unmet needs when we are sleep deprived and hungry. Those are like 2 basic ones.
Yes.
Or when you are in pain, right? What happens is that when you're going through something like that, your brain is taking all its energy focusing on what you're struggling with, like hunger or being in pain or being sleep deprived, because it's literally a basic unmet need and it creates a threat to your survival. And so it's taking its energy to focus on that. And so it's not directing its energy to emotionally regulate in the moment, to remain calm and grounded. So it just feels 1,000 times harder. Is it still possible? Yes. But it literally feels 1,000 times harder when you are running on empty and you have some basic unmet needs. Another one is overstimulation. That's huge. When we have so much going on, so much chaos, we don't have any quiet in our days to connect with
Yes.
God, to create some stillness. We constantly go, 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 rush, 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 one thing from another. And especially if you are like maybe a highly sensitive person or an introvert, that will easily drain you. And then that will contribute you to feeling really reactive and easily triggered with your kids. Another one is just not having any time for yourself, just literally running on empty, just constantly output, 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 because a lot of times is we feel guilty taking time for ourselves. And so we just take care of everyone else. And then what happens is we're completely running dry and we have nothing else to give. And what suffers is our emotional, mental, or physical wellness at that time. And so there's like a lot of things that contribute to it. A messy house, right? That
Right.
will contribute
Yes.
to, you feeling easily triggered, not having support, feeling unsupported, or maybe even asking for help and not being heard. And you're like, hey, I'm struggling. I need some help right now. And your spouse or your children or others around you you're just not being heard. That's another one that will trigger. Another one is just having the mentality that you have to control everything and everyone. And if
Yes.
I don't control that, you feel out of control, and that is a trigger for you. And so there's many things that contribute to feeling easily angered and reactive. And I think like as I work with my clients, we learn more what is your trigger, what contributes to your anger the most, and we start working more on that.
Yes. And as you were talking, like from the first sentence, I realized like I know this and I apply it to my kids all the time. And I've never stopped to apply it to myself. I don't know if you get that a lot, but I've showed my kids the picture of the iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg is the anger, but what's underneath? But I don't think I ever stopped to analyze, like, why am I so angry in this moment? And then all the reasons you gave us, from the unmet needs to the overstimulation. That is so true. The messy house, I'm not a great cleaner, but I like things straight and organized. And so I have 4 kids that leave everything out. So I can't focus when there's clutter. And that can get me already kind of ramped up there. So yeah, I can see a lot of those. I'm going to ask you in a second about some daily habits that can help us. But when you were talking about the overstimulation and no quiet, it just made me think I've got to protect those times. I've got to build them into the schedule and protect them, because I'm one of these that will look at the calendar and be like, oh, there's nothing on Thursday. I can fill it up.
See, I'm the person that I got to a point where I'm like, oh, there's nothing on Thursday. Yes, I'm excited to have a nothing day. Like tomorrow, I don't have any calls. I have an evening coaching call tomorrow, but like I don't have anything during the day, going on. I don't have to run any errands or anything. I'm like, yes, I get to stay home and just like, just catch up with some housework. And it just feels good not to constantly like rush. And that just comes with so much awareness and reflection and learning what my capacity is, what my limits are, and just honoring that and respecting that.
Yeah, there is a big part of that self-awareness that has to be there. So what would you say are some daily habits that can help us just increase our patience with our kids?
Yeah, these are good ones. And the first one that I always recommend, it is getting up before your kids in the morning and spending time with God.
Yes.
That is the number one habit that you can create that will literally transform your days. I recognize if you have a newborn, this is not the season for it.
Right.
I will promise you this stage will pass. And even if you do have a little one, just being up slightly before your kids and not grabbing your phone first thing in the morning and not being on social media and scrolling, like just using that time to just be in silence and stillness and just invite God into your day and just use even like 5 minutes to just intentional silence, to just either pray or just invite the Holy Spirit in your day is going to magically transform your day. And why I'm saying that right now, I have a challenge going on with my audience, and we are in a Voxer chat group, and I had like 20 moms that signed up, and we are doing a morning challenge where we get up 1 hour before our family.
Oh,
And
wow. That's
using
great.
that time to connect with God, you can either also exercise or journal or whatever you want to do, but no phone. You can't be on your phone, and you're using that time intentionally to pour into yourself. And so many moms are getting back to me. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this transformed how I show up during the day. My capacity increased so much. I'm so much more grounded and patient with my kids. I'm not as reactive." And I'm like, "Yes, I told you." Like, this
Yeah.
is out of all the habits I think that I have implemented, this is the one that truly, truly changed the way I showed up. And even like being in stillness and reading the Bible and just praying and journaling to God, like all of that is so calming to your nervous system, and it lowers your stress levels massively. So when you enter your day, you have so much more capacity to handle how the day goes.
Sure. The phone thing is a big thing. I've been off social media for about 6 months now. It was for that reason that I just don't have the discipline to not pick it up and get distracted. And even when I'm having my quiet time, like I have to put it in another room, because if I'm going to sit there with God, I'll even get a spiritual idea. Like, I'm going to look up what somebody says that passage means. And the next thing I know, I've been on the phone for an hour. So yeah, that is, and I love that how you said it increases your capacity to show up the way you want to show up with your kids.
Yeah. And speaking of social media, that would be number 2, is having phone boundaries and deleting social media off your phone. Well, first of all, you're going to recognize how often you go on social media and how often you pick
Exactly.
up your phone to escape reality. That's going to be your first like awakening. Second of all, you're like, "Oh my goodness, I have so much more time. I have
Right.
so much more time to get things done." And then number 3 is you are going to notice that you will increase window of tolerance. So another thing that you can go along with phone use is turning off notifications on your phone. So you don't have any of those constant dings that are pulling you away. Let's say you, maybe even text messages, besides, let's say, your spouse or something. I have my text message silenced. I have no notifications that go. I have nothing on my home screen when I click on my, home button. And so on my iPhone. And so the only time I see it is when I actually open the app and I see a little red, mark by, let's say, my
Right.
messaging app or whatever. And so it doesn't distract me from my day. It doesn't pull me in all these different directions, because part of the reason moms feel so overwhelmed is they're being pulled in all these different directions at the same time, and that creates stress on your brain. And this is something that is completely in your control, is you turning off notifications on your phone, deleting social media, or setting hard boundaries around it with like downtime and app limits. Especially, I know you can do that with the iPhone, but even with
Yeah.
that, like I personally would just bypass them. So for me, I literally just had to delete the app. I'm like, it's not on my phone. I can't even go on it. And so then you're so much more available to be present. And when you're present and not constantly hearing the ding on your phone or being pulled in different directions, like how often would you like scroll on social media and your kids come up to you and you're like, "Hey mom, I need you to help me with something." You're like,
Yeah.
"Get away from me. Hold on. I'm just like want to finish this
Right.
video." And so it's unintentional, but that reduces our capacity levels and window of tolerance, and that contributes to us feeling easily agitated.
Absolutely. And there's nothing more convicting than having your kid say, "Mom, will you put your phone down?" And then you're like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I just got sucked into that again."
Yes,
So,
yes. And then I'll do one more thing, like another habit that you can create that will be helpful for you. I would say is taking care of yourself physically, like literally eating meals and hydrating.
yes.
Just basic needs. We know that when our toddler is hungry and tired, they're melting down, they're crying, right? But we
Right.
don't think that about ourselves when our blood sugar is low and wonky. And just literally eating breakfast and taking care of yourself and taking care of your literally basic needs that God created you with, you're not like you have so much more tolerance, right? When you're driving on the road and you're hungry after work and somebody cuts you off,
Yeah.
maybe some of the reactions aren't so nice, but when you had a good meal, when you're in a good mood, right? When you maybe listen to some fun music, somebody cuts you off, you're like, they must be
Yeah.
having a hard day out. And so you just,
Right.
don't take it as close to heart. So I would recommend those like 3 things probably will really massively change your window of tolerance as a mom.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's things that I think of with my kids, but I don't take that. We're such givers and nurturers. We don't take the time to go, I have the same basic needs they have. I've got to become aware of those things. So, okay, sometimes we know we're losing it, right? We know we've got this anger. We don't want to unleash it on our kids, but our brain is maybe in the fight mode. We flipped our lid, so to speak. So what mindset shifts can moms make to feel calmer, I guess, in that moment?
Yeah, it's really hard,
Yeah,
right? It is
absolutely.
so hard. It is so hard. And so one of the things that um, I I learned this phrase from a coach that I worked with this summer, and I like this phrase. This isn't to upset me. When things are not going your way, when your kids aren't listening,
Mm,
when things are just not working out the way you want to or envision them in your mind to be, and things are like your house is a little bit messy. Like yesterday, my kids came from school, things got a little bit crazy. They were playing a game in the living room, everything was all over the place. And my mind wants to tell me everything's against me. This is all there to
right.
annoy me and frustrate me. And so having a perspective shift and literally just even saying it to yourself out loud in the heat of the moment, like, this isn't to upset me. This isn't to upset me. Like, this is innocent. Like, none of this is on purpose to upset me. And so having that perspective, and then when it comes to, let's say you're feeling angry with your children or your spouse because they're not doing something that you want them to do, or they're doing something you don't want them to do,
Right.
which happens all the time, right?
Uh-huh.
When our human nature likes to control others, and that sinful nature. One of the things that is helpful is to be curious and instead of getting angry. And what I mean by that is that curiosity and anger don't coexist. And so asking yourself, I wonder what's going on with them, why they're making this choice right now. Like, what are they going through right now in this moment that this is what they're doing? Because what I can tell you that is that when I'm in a good place emotionally and mentally, and like I physically feel good, I show up really good for my family. When I have some
Right.
unmet needs, when I feel unseen, unheard, or whatever it is, it comes out in some attitude or unpleasant tone or disrespect, maybe towards my spouse. And there's always something underneath that. So if your kids are not listening or your child is giving you attitude, find out why. Like, get
Sure.
curious. Or your husband, I wonder what's going on that they are acting this way. Like, I had something similar with my oldest son. We went to the store. He wanted to buy something. I said, not today. I know you want to use your money, but I want you to think about it for 3 days to make sure this is a wise use of your money.
Right.
Well, he wanted to get it then. We came home and he was just being a little bit unkind to his brothers and just giving them attitude and saying some things that are unhelpful.
Right.
And I said, "Hey, what's going on? Like, why are you saying these things? Are you still upset about this thing we didn't get at the store?" He's like, "Yeah, you didn't let me get it." And so
Mm,
the thing is, he's upset about completely something else, but he's taking it out on his siblings. Or they have something that happened at school. Somebody said something mean to them, and they're taking it out on their sibling. Or your husband is really stressed out about work, and something that happened at work, he came home and he just like barked something at you and the kids. So instead of or like he's just unhelpful because he's feeling mentally paralyzed because of all the stress or whatever is going on, and he's just isolating. Just be curious instead of reacting in anger. When you're curious, your anger will diminish in that moment.
I love that, and it's so true. A lot of times, they don't even deserve our wrath. Now, sometimes they've done something, and we still don't want to act in anger. But a lot of times, it's like what you said. We have to have that perspective of. I know I heard this from someone once, especially about my spouse. I've got to remember he's for me. He loves me. I want to jump straight to you're doing this to annoy me instead of like what you're saying, be curious, what's going on underneath there? Because I know deep down he's for me. I know my kids love me. Like maybe if they knew how annoying it is when they leave everything out, they might not do it as much. But, let's back up a little bit. I love the way you're saying this isn't to upset me or everything isn't against me. That is a great things to have going on replay in your mind in those moments. So can you talk for a minute about how to avoid burnout, which is such a big thing for us mamas, and how to ask for help without feeling guilty?
Yeah. So that's a really good one because when you are feeling overwhelmed and burned out and you're doing too much all at once or trying to do too much at once, you can't do anything. You can't do anything super well, and you're doing so many things at
Right.
once. It will reduce your window of tolerance, which means you will be a lot more easily triggered and overwhelmed with your kids. So one of the things that I do with my coaching clients is we go and journal and we reflect on what's on your plate. What are all the things that you're doing? What are the things that you're committed to that maybe served you for a season, but are not serving you right now? Things that you can let go and say no to. What can you delegate and ask for help? So many families and moms, like they don't ask their kids for help. They just do all the
Right.
chores around the house and they don't ask or delegate, or they don't even ask their spouse. She's working outside of the home. He's working outside of the home. They come home and he's relaxing as she's doing all the things, and the kids are just chilling and relaxing. And so,
Right.
or maybe there's too many sports activities that need to be cut down, whatever it is. And so, because when we are burned out, what happens is no one benefits when we're running an empty, like nobody,
Sure.
because something is going to give, and it's again going to be your mental, emotional, or physical well-being or spiritual well-being. Like it's
Sure.
pulling from somewhere. And so if you don't take time to replenish yourself and create that white space in your weeks where you have some time to decompress and recharge, you're constantly going to run an empty, like a car tank, right? And how
Right.
far can you go when you're running an empty? Not far, until things start to break down and
Right.
you're struggling, and then it's coming out literally in unhelpful ways at the people that you care about the most. And so asking for help, the mental shift that I had to make, well, first of all, if you think about it, Jesus asked his disciples for help. They were there to support him on his journey. And even when he
Yeah.
had that, when he was in the garden, and he was right before the whole crucifixion, he asked his friends to emotionally support him, to be there for him, to
Mm.
pray over him. Like he needed that support. And we as humans, we need that. We need that support, and even like physically support, we need that. And so when you shift your perspective about it and say, like asking for help is a way that I can support myself to make things easier and lighter. So then I don't feel stressed. So then I don't yell at my family. So then I don't, act out in anger. Because let's say the root of it for you is feeling overwhelmed because you're doing too much. Well, what's the practical action step that you can do is ask for help. And asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign
Sure.
of strength, because I'm choosing to ask for help to make things easier for myself. I'm not doing it because I have to, because if you tell your brain I have to ask for help, you'll see it
Mm.
as a weakness. But you're literally saying,
Right.
I'm deciding to do this to make things easier and lighter for myself, because that's when I show up best for my family.
Oh, I love that. I love that whole thought of just, I'm choosing to do this instead of I have to. And I was thinking, as you were talking about the car running on empty, because I'm notorious for like, my car gives me this little thing when I'm running that says you can go 30 more miles, whatever. Well, I also happen to know that when it says you can go zero more miles, I know how many more miles I can still go, but I'm nervous, right? Like I don't enjoy the ride because I'm nervous about, I hope I don't. And I was just thinking that's so true in life. You talk about that window of tolerance. Like I want to enjoy the journey. I don't want to be just afraid I'm going to, when am I just going to completely run out and fall apart and they're going to have to pick me up off the sidewalk because I'm completely done. And I'm also one of those moms that is not good at asking for help because I think everyone should just notice that I need help. Like, I think the kids should
Mm.
notice I need their help. I think my husband should know, like, I don't know how I came
That would
to
be
that
nice.
mindset.
That would be nice.
But
And the reality is that they don't, right?
They don't.
Everybody's in their
No.
own little bubble. And I think it also depends on personality. Like some people are just more aware and in tune of like
Sure.
who needs help. And others, like
Yes.
you have to, like my husband helps, but I have to ask him. My kids
Yes.
help, but I have to ask them all the time.
Exactly.
And so just
I was laughing because my daughter, my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, I almost called her that. They're getting married in August, but she, she's one of these that we will be done with dinner and we'll just all be talking, and I'll look up and she's washing all the dishes. Like she just notices that, and it was funny because we were at my in-laws for Christmas. And it made me start doing that. Like, I'm not one that notices. I'm the social one that wants to sit down and be talking. I'm not one of the ones that's in the back. So it just kind of made me go, I need to go in there and start helping, because I don't want to always be the one that's just sitting and chatting. But being able to say, hey, I'm really struggling. I need help with this, or I can't, I don't want to be the last one to leave the kitchen. So I need everybody to take care of putting the dishes away or whatever, even if it's that small of a thing.
Yeah. And one thing, can I add one more thing to that might make it helpful, is asking them to do it together and say, hey, let's clean up the kitchen together. Let's do this together. Do this with me. And so just using those phrases, because then it's like you're doing it as a way to do it together. And it could be even a way to connect together. You're doing an activity together. And so just like anything feels way less overwhelming when you're doing it together with somebody. If I send you into a messy garage right now and say, go clean it, it's going to feel really overwhelming. But if I say, hey, let's do this together, let's clean it together, it just feels so much more easier, just even having that individual. And so just inviting your kids like, hey, I need your help right now. Let's clean the kitchen together.
I love that. And it also it reminds you that it's about connection. It's not just about, or it can be, we can make it about connection and not just, I need to get this done. I need someone to do it. Yeah. I love that. Very, very good. I'm writing these things down because I need to go practice them myself. Even doesn't matter how old your kids are. These are great things to practice. So I love to ask my guests this question because we talk a lot here on the podcast about living in the now and the not yet. How for a lot of us, life did not turn out the way we thought it was going to. So if you could go back and talk with younger Elizabeth, what is one thing that you would say to her?
I think I would tell her that working on herself as a mom, as an individual, like as a person, is not a waste of time. It benefits the rest of the family. And so oftentimes we feel like taking time for myself, either spending time with God or even just like reflecting or journaling or going on a retreat or all these things that contribute to self-reflection and personal development and growth and spiritual growth. We feel like it might be just a waste of time and not as important. And what I've learned is that when I work on myself, when I pour into myself, it like bleeds into the rest of the family in a positive way.
Sure.
And when I'm feeling good, it affects the rest of the family. If I'm struggling, it also affects the rest of the family. So like supporting myself and getting myself in a better place and doing what I need to do to support myself, so then I can pour into my family. And so that's what I would tell her, that running on empty benefits nobody and nobody suffers when I take care of myself.
Right. I love that. It's not selfish, basically what you're saying, because everyone is going to reap the benefits from this. I love that. I have loved our conversation. I also want to just tell our listeners, go listen to her podcast, because everything she touched on today, she talks about a lot in detail. And I've enjoyed the episodes that I've listened to, and I know you will too. So Elizabeth, tell us where my listeners can find you. And if you want to mention your podcast or any other resources that you have, go ahead and tell us what our listeners can take advantage of there.
Yeah. So I have a wonderful training on overcoming mom shame after having an emotional explosion at your family, right? The enemy wants to speak lies to you that you're the worst mom in the world, that your kids are screwed up for the rest of their life. You're not meant to do this. Right. And so I have a wonderful training that I put together that comes with like a PDF that you can print out to take notes. And the link for that is endmomshame.com. So go to endmomshame.com and you will be able to sign up for that free training. It's completely free, and it's going to lead you to my email. And then through that, you can also go access my podcast, which is called Emotionally Healthy Legacy. So that's it.
All right. Well, it sounds great. I'm excited to go look at that resource myself. Thank you again so much for being here with us. You've shared so many great things, I know, that have resonated with a lot of people. So thank you so much for being here, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know you're excited to put some of these strategies in place, and check below in the show notes for the link to Ending the Mom Shame training that Elizabeth offers. It's a slightly different link than the name that she called it in the show when this aired back in 2023, but it's still there for you to grab. And there'll also be links to her website, coaching, and podcast. So make sure you check those out. As always, I'm praying that you are able to see glimpses of God's glory in the now and the not yet of your unperfect life this week. I'll see you next time.